All right, welcome back. New Guys Podcast, episode 10. We got Graham back with us today.
What's up?
Just jumping right into it. NHL announced their playoff format for the upcoming playoff tournament, or whatever you want to call it. Should it occur, barring any kind of changes to this whole situation. Now, Jordan and Graham, you guys are big hockey guys. You guys want to kind of explain that?
Yeah, Graham, you start it off.
Yeah, so I really like it. A lot of Canes fans, like me, I'm a Hurricanes fan because I live down here in North Carolina. But a lot of Canes fans are really upset about it because the Rangers have freaking owned us this year. So we got the tough draw in that one. But I really like it because, first of all, you're not ever going to have a perfect format when you're dealing with something like this. You're not going to be able to please everyone. But I think they're doing the right thing by including teams that weren't in playoff position. Like they wouldn't have made the playoffs if they ended right when the season got canceled, but they still had a chance to make it through. So that I really like that they're doing that as opposed to just making the cutoff at 16 teams. And I think they're also doing the right thing by giving the teams that were on top, like the Bruins and the Blues and the Avs, all those teams, the round robin thing at the start, so that they can still get reps and not be coming in cold turkey once the first play-in round is over. All in all, I think you're kind of like you're doing almost as much as you can to make everybody happy. I know that a lot of Bruins fans are upset because they would have been the clear-cut number one if the season had ended like right when it did and the playoffs had started. But I think this is probably the best way to get things back underway. And the one real concern that I have with it is that the hub cities that they were talking about, they did not include Winnipeg in the cities that they were even mentioning. And Winnipeg has like less than 20 total cases the last time I checked. And it's a very, very clear option to keep players safe. And I mean, people have said that it's because they have a small arena or they don't have the luxury hotels. But if you're talking about safety, like it shouldn't matter where you're staying, number one. And number two, you're not going to have fans there. So I don't know why the size of the arena would count. So that's kind of my 2 cents on the whole thing. I think they're doing a really good job with the way that they're planning things out. But, it's just a plan for now.
Yeah. Before Jordan starts, I just want to ask a question. I know a recurring topic every week with this is you guys basically taking a dump on the NHL playoff format. Do you think this is a step in the right direction going forward? Like they can look back on this and say, all right, maybe this works.
I don't know. What do you think, Graham?
I think that. Wait, you mean like to use for years to come?
Build upon it, I mean, granted, I don't think we're ever going to see another pandemic like this in the next 100 years, maybe. Hopefully we don't see it in another 100 years. But maybe this is something that seems a little more fair. I know you guys were saying, oh, Bruins fans are unhappy. Yourself, a Hurricanes fan, are unhappy, but other fans are happy with this. Do you see the NHL possibly building upon this in the future?
I don't think so, purely because if all things were even and this was just a normal 82-game season, there's no way that you should include 24 of the 31 teams in a playoff tournament. Like it just shouldn't work like that. You shouldn't get rewarded for like having a winning percentage around 400 and still making the playoffs. It's a neat concept, and I think it'll work for this, but I don't think it's something that they should use in the future. But like you said, if something like coronavirus or another pandemic were to come up in another 100 years or so, this is something that they could look back on and be like, okay, this worked, let's use it again, or this didn't work, let's try something else.
Yeah, I agree. It sucks because the main aspects of the playoff format didn't drastically change from how it usually is. Like, to use the Bruins as an example, the gripe that we always have as Bruins fans is that we have to play Toronto in the first round, who's one of the better teams in the league, and then most likely have to face Tampa Bay. We got lucky last year with Columbus, but if you look at how the format's set up this year, if they stick with the bracket style, we have Toronto in the first round as long as they win their series, and then we have Tampa Bay in the next round. So as it really changed drastically, it doesn't really like help us at all. Graham, one thing I was going to say, I know you're talking about like how the hub cities like and how Canada like makes the most sense without a doubt. And I was thinking the exact same thing when they were releasing all the cities. But then I read something that said, like I guess Canada isn't at the top of their list because of the 2-week mandatory quarantine that you have to have when you visit Canada, and that would like screw up like stuff with players. So I guess Canada's like not in the running that much. It's more about the U.S.
Well,
cities.
they included Edmonton and Vancouver, though.
Yeah, exactly. I know. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like they got to make some exception or something. Like it makes the most sense.
It might differ by province. I'm not sure.
Yeah. One thing I don't want them to do is that like don't hold the eastern side in like Toronto. Like that would be ridiculous because then you're just giving them an advantage. But yeah, like you kind of touched on everything. I know there's some teams that, like you said, I've seen Hurricanes fans that are. I think there was some report about players or the GM getting angry about how it was set up.
Yeah. I personally think that was Dundon hardballing the league and saying, I'm not going to vote for your format if you don't include Raleigh as one of the hub cities. That's something that Tom Dundon would do. But I really don't know. But it doesn't make a difference either way because, well, for one thing, you were talking about Toronto having to still play Boston in that second round. They haven't. I don't think that they've said for sure whether they will reseed or not after the first round.
Yeah.
So you could end up having to play the winner of Toronto and Columbus, or you could end up playing the lowest seed or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But for us as Hurricanes fans, if they don't reseed, we still got to play Washington in the second round anyway, and that's who we would have opened up with if it was 16 teams. So it's not making a whole lot of difference.
Yeah, the one team that lucks out of the playing rounds is whoever has to face Philly. I feel like Philly's the clear weak out of the 4. Like us, Tampa, and Washington are the clear 3, and then it's just like Philly's right. They're just like there.
Well, Philly was really good as they came down the stretch, but that's because they got hot, and then obviously we've had 2.5 months with no hockey, so I don't know if they'll be able to keep that up.
Yeah, in terms of roster, they're definitely. I mean, like I think Pittsburgh has a stronger roster than them, and they obviously have to play in. But yeah, I think they did a good job. Like there's only so much you can do with like these unprecedented times. And I mean, like you said, you're never gonna have a perfect format. I think they could do a lot better if they do the reseeding. I don't want them to go bracket style just because it doesn't make much sense to me. Just reseed and make sure that the best team is playing the worst team in the quote unquote first round. And then from then on, you can keep the bracket style. I don't know.
I agree.
I've heard that Bettman and the executives lean towards bracket, which I can see because bracket gives you more like intense matchups throughout and doesn't like culminate with like the best facing the best, which is probably better for ratings. I can only assume.
Yeah.
And then reseeding is favored by players and teams as a whole, which makes sense as well because the majority of the better teams don't want to face, the top teams in the NHL in the second round. So
yeah.
Well, thinking about like the usual NHL playoff format, I know you guys like hate it. I know a lot of people hate it, but thinking about it like in NBA terms, to me, it's like that's like if you had the Lakers, like if they had to face the Clippers in the second round, you're basically robbing anybody of the great like Western Conference Finals matchup because they're in the same division. Which I just think that's so stupid because there's no real reason as to why you can't go 1 through 8. So like Anthony was saying, hopefully this is a step in the right direction for them to realize that their playoff format is kind of broken. Anyway, but unless you guys have any more thoughts on that, we're going to go into the NBA playoff format, which I believe at the moment is there's some rumors about it being like a play-in, kind of like the NHL, and there's some people that want it 16 teams with no conference, which has been discussion for quite a long time now. Do you guys have any thoughts on, what that's going to look like, how the rest can kind of affect these series or anything? Yeah, I have something up about the 20 to 24 team playing,
Yeah.
which I think would be interesting. But some execs are upset about that because they think that it's the NBA's attempt to just get Zion into the playoffs for marketing
Yeah.
purposes too.
I saw that. I saw a
So
Windhorse report on that. One thing I don't want, I looked at like the proposed bracket for the, and I've seen this becoming more increasingly likely. I guess Windhorse reported on Monday, I guess, that it's likely they do a 16 team non-conference, just because conferences are generally made because of travel. It's like you don't want Western Conference and Eastern Conference teams going across the country for playoff series. But now that travel doesn't really matter, you might as well abolish the conferences, and it would have us playing the Sixers in the first round, and then probably the Clippers in the second round if they, beat the Mavericks, which they should. So, I mean, and then obviously we'd have to play the Bucks probably because they're still on our side, and then the Lakers would be the finals. So we theoretically have to play, three of the maybe even the top three teams in the league in a row
yeah,
to get a finals, which is ridiculous. While you have the Lakers who play the Nets who don't have Kyrie, and then get to play the Jazz or the Rockets, who the Rockets have two of the biggest playoff strugglers in the NBA, and then the Jazz their roster you know doesn't pop out at you. It's just, I mean, the Lakers would run through them. So I don't know. It seems like that's probably going to be the way they go. But I've also seen, like you said, Pat, that they're trying to get Zion in as like easy as possible, which is just so ridiculous.
What were the
Like,
Pelicans
right.
sitting at before all this happened? What?
I mean, they're
There's-
close.
Yeah,
know
They were like
They're right at
10 or 11.
Yeah.
yeah.
They were like 10 or
The thing
11 in the
is-
West.
Yeah, I was reading that. So the Grizzlies had the hardest remaining schedule, and the Pelicans had the easiest. So a lot of people or analysis were thinking that the Pelicans were going to leapfrog into that position. But then again, the Grizzlies have been winning games and nobody thought they'd be winning all season. So who's going to make the call of whether you're going to let like this team who didn't really make the playoffs get into it? But I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing a playoff like that at the same time. To get some of these younger guys, get some of these fringe teams in.
Yeah.
But I definitely see the frustration on some people's parts that it's really just a marketing tool, which, it is. It's a business. Same thing with
Yeah.
the NHL. Like, why
Well,
they
I
won't
think-
want to go to a smaller city. But go ahead, Graham.
Yeah, I think I think if anybody really has a problem with it, it's because of personal vendettas against teams or like your own personal fandom or whatever. Like, I personally, like, putting all my feelings aside, I'm a Hornets fan. I don't care because no matter what happens, my team's not going to do anything. So, like, I think that if you're saying that you want to just stick to the 16 teams, you're turning down basketball. Like, that's just more games that you can watch and more matchups that you're just shutting down just because you want your team to do better, or you want another team to be excluded, or that's just my take on it. And that's kind of how I feel with the NHL too, with people who are saying that it should just be 16 teams and the seeding that it was before we started this whole thing. So
Yeah.
personally,
I get behind that.
I saw a
As a
tweet
basketball fan or NHL fan, you just
I
want
saw
more
a
games.
tweet,
Go ahead, Jake. Sorry.
earlier. I don't know. It was a couple days ago that said like when the NHL format first got released, it was like the people that have complained about not having hockey for months are now the first people to complain about the NHL, how the NHL format is set up. And it's like,
Exactly.
that's so true because it's like you get like people complain about like, oh, why isn't hockey back? And then they give you a playoff format for July, and you're like, well, it sucks. It's like you can't have everything. Like, grow up a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I agree with you, Graham. Like that, it's in general the 24 team or the whatever they're gonna do for the NBA that they're proposing to get Zion in. Obviously, is like more basketball is great. I just think the concept of like it's not to help out other teams. It's literally just to help Zion get in the playoffs because they've said like they're just gonna mark the cutoff wherever the Pelicans are. So
they
it's like-
actually said that specifically.
yeah, they said that's what Windhorse was saying. So
Oh my god. Okay, forget what I said then. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. they're making it obvious that they just want Zion in.
But we all want Zion in the playoffs too. Is the thing. They're giving us what we want.
That's true too.
Yeah.
Because like, imagine you somehow get a Zion, and I don't even know what the season looks like, but like if you get like a Zion versus LeBron matchup,
Well, I
yeah.
think that
yeah,
I think that would be if they just abolished the conferences. I think that would be the first round because I think the Pelicans would be the worst team in the playoffs, and then the Lakers would be the best. Or well, I guess the Bucks would be there.
The Lakers would get a bye though, wouldn't they, with a 24 team?
Oh, they
true.
would. I think them and the Bucks. So then it would be
So would they set it up like the NHL?
Raptors.
Yeah, they'd set it up kind of like the NHL. The top 8 would get a bye, and so then the worst team remaining would play like whatever the current number 9 seed is. I forget who that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I have no problems with seeing Zion. Like, watching him play, man, I just miss it so much because he's just like, I remember the game he had against the Bucks, where he just ripped the ball from Giannis. And like, you don't see that happen with Giannis because Giannis is like a prototypical.
He's a big dude.
Athletic. Yeah, and then Zion's here and just makes him look like a baby.
Yeah.
I'm also hoping that they implement like a 5-game series, like they did in the early playoff games back in the day, because I think that would make things a little more intense. Like, say somehow the Pelicans do beat the Lakers and it's in 5 games, but that would also start a whole controversy. Oh, you didn't beat us in 7 games, or you didn't beat us in more than a 7-game series. But I think the 5-game format would be a little more intense than a 7-game series, and it would help speed it up. Obviously, 5 games to 7, and maybe we can get the NBA back at normal time when. Yeah. Next season comes around. But we were discussing the other week, we were hoping that it starts up around Christmas time. So,
yeah.
I think it's make it easy to it.
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying one thing. Go ahead.
I was just saying, like, I don't know how if you do 7 games and make it 24 teams, you're going to be, with as late as they're talking about starting things back up, like beginning of August, you're talking about your NBA finals are happening in like October. And then
at the same time as the World Series, yeah.
Exactly. Which would be awesome for viewers, but then like next year's NBA season is gonna be late. If they do it, whatever they decide to do.
The West actually is kind of a dumpster fire. Go ahead.
The NHL. I've seen the NHL rumored that an executive or like one of the big guys in the NHL said that they aren't going to start next season until some capacity of fans are allowed back. And I guess they're shooting for New Year's Day, which is like, I mean, you can kind of assume that if they're going to have the playoffs go until September, they need at least a couple months off. So I wonder if NBA is going to do the same thing, because I guess financially it's just hard for teams to, keep afloat when they can't even have one of their main sources of income, especially for the big market teams like Boston and New York and stuff like that. So I could definitely see the NBA just doing that too. Just, until we can get some capacity of fans in, just cut the season. Don't start it yet. Because I personally want it, like, I don't want them to start next season in Christmas if there's no fans. It takes away from like one of the biggest parts of sports. And obviously with the playoffs right now, that's out of the question. You're not going to have fans in here. And it's, at this point, it's just watching the sports is what we want. But if you're going to start next season, I would be totally on board with just holding it off, whether that be in, early February or late January, and then just start it there and, play the season out and have it go into the summer. I have no problem with that. I think we talked about it a couple weeks ago. I think it would be definitely better for viewers, because in the early summer, other than baseball, or I should say the late summer, or other than baseball, if you're not a baseball fan, there's not much on.
There's nothing.
Basketball and hockey and football are obviously all in the off season, so I think it would be a good move, but we'll see.
Yeah. When you talk about fans, I'm thinking like, all right, you got these really big arenas. You can maybe bring in season ticket holders and obviously separate them accordingly, so it's safe, and then maybe bring in like the families of the players and stuff like that, and then obviously, because I know the WWE, here we go, talking about wrestling again. They're starting to implement an audience. Like at their performance center, they have the guys that are just learning how to wrestle. So they're bringing them in and they're having them in the audience, and it's just been a world of a difference just having like the 30-something guys and girls just standing there cheering. It makes a world of a difference just to have some sort of a crowd reaction, even though there's a glass wall in between the barricade and the ring. Just bring in some sort of fans, even if it's not a lot, just to have that excitement factor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, something that is definitely going to be a huge factor in the playoffs, should they happen, which, hopefully they do, is I know for especially NHL. I mean, I guess it's for any sport, but I know NHL and NBA, they're in arenas, so the crowd is kind of amplified. The noise, like home field or home court or home ice, whatever it is, the advantage that gives you can't be understated. You have places like in the NFL, you have Kansas City, you got Seattle, places that you literally can't hear in the playoffs because the fans are so loud. So, opposing teams going into an opposing arena, like an away arena, it's not so much of a disadvantage now, even though they're probably going to be played at neutral sites. It's going to be more of an even playing field for these two teams for sure. So that'll be something that's really interesting to see.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're done with that. We got Brady's golf game this past weekend, I think it was. Brady and Phil Mickelson versus Tiger and Peyton Manning. Brady split his pants. He had a nice shot. Otherwise, he kind of shit the bed. Any thoughts you guys have? Any thoughts you guys have on that? Clearly not the go to golf, but it is what it is.
First of all, I was working on Sunday, so I didn't get to watch it. But I was looking at like clips afterwards, obviously. So I saw the shot. I saw him splitting his pants. The biggest thing for me was that it took me about 3 full minutes of watching highlights for me to realize that Tiger Woods with a beard was not actually Mike Tomlin.
I didn't even think about that, actually.
Yeah, it was a bit of a bamboozle for me at first, but I don't ever watch golf, so that's not my area of expertise. But Brady did not look good.
Yeah.
I also want to add that, like, as crazy as this sounds, golf has, like, sparked that light of hope. Like, just seeing everyone going nuts on Twitter over it, it's just, like, that's somewhat, we're kind of returning to normalcy again when it comes to sports. And that's what, like, it's like, oh, it's crazy. You would think, like, something like the NBA, the NFL would bring back that, just bring back sports in general. But it was golf of all things. Granted, you had 2 football players, playing golf, but like it had people talking. Everybody was excited for a golf game for once, and I know I was. I completely forgot it was on. I got home from work and I just turned on the TV and I was like, oh, that's on. So I started watching that. Just watching sports again was just overall great.
Yeah, I think like you said, like the return to normalcy like is obviously the big thing, and it's kind of like I kind of compared it to like if you're like underwater and you haven't gone up for air in a while. And it's like that golf game is like the air. It's like one breath, like, and then you go back under. Like you got one breath. So it's kind of like something to distract people for a couple hours. And I think like just going back to the playoff formats, but talking about it, the pandemic in general, like June should theoretically be the final month before we get something to get us back on track if the NHL playoffs end up starting what they say. So, but yeah, I think I didn't watch too much of it. I saw the highlights of it. I saw Charles Barkley like betting that Tom Brady couldn't hit the green on a shot, and I don't think he did. I think he bet like $60K or something. It was ridiculous. But yeah, I think the back and forth is good. Like how the announcers are right in their ear. Like that would be dope to have like in just like any sport. I think it's such a cool like implication that they have.
They do that with the MLB All-Star Game. They do that a lot, but it works then. But like you could never do it in regular season play.
No.
Yeah.
And I feel like this was the
mic'd up
thing. Go ahead.
Oh my bad. It's like the mic'd up thing, kind of like I love those like NBA, NHL, NFL.
Sound effects.
They have it just hearing the players. Yeah. I mean, that's it, buddy. Yeah, that's just something I feel like I don't know how you can implement it, but if they could have it for like every player, maybe like you wouldn't get such good results with some players if it's like bad shit they're saying. But it's definitely like a cool concept hearing these guys, on there like spitballing with each other, talking trash, all this stuff.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
And go ahead. My fault.
Yeah, I had a question for you guys. I was watching Felger and Maz, or listening to it, I should say. And they're if anyone's listened to them, they're just I don't know, they're so out of the realm of like Boston, like they hate everything, like they're known for just hating on everything. It's ridiculous.
Can't listen to them anymore.
Yeah, they were talking about the golf game, and both of them said that they were like they were like wishing that Brady like the entire time would just fail. Like they didn't want him to win. They weren't rooting for Brady. Were you guys like rooting for him? I mean, it's tough to root for Peyton Manning, but like also it's like, do you want to see Brady like? It's kind of the same thing about, do you want to see him succeed on the Bucs? Like, did you want to see him win the golf tournament or game?
Yeah, I mean, like I don't want to see him like you were saying, like with the Bucs. Like, I mean, obviously, I don't want to go see him go out and win a Super Bowl this year, but like, I don't want to see him like tear his Achilles and go 5-11 either. So just kind of a happy medium. I didn't want to see him like shoot 65 or something like that, but I didn't want to see him like do terribly, which he did. But
yeah, I think like you said, happy medium. Like finding the happy medium, because if you're talking about the football season, like if you have either one of Belichick or Brady play poorly, you're gonna have the system guys, the system fans coming out and saying that that's the reason why we were so successful. So it's almost like you have to have
they both have
Belichick
to do well.
Yeah, you have to have Belichick do well, and then you have to have Brady like tear it up because his roster is so ridiculous. So it's like it's tough. I mean, if Brady makes it to the NFC Championship, like I mean, I'm fine with that or whatever. And then but you like you said, I don't want him winning a Super Bowl. Like I'd like to see him do well, just because I'm still a Tom Brady guy. Like he, for 20 years he provided us with, outstanding football.
Happiness.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And you bring up the whole like system thing. When I saw the memes coming out saying, "Oh, Tom Brady couldn't beat Peyton Manning without Bill Belichick," and "Oh, Tom Brady's now 0-1 as a Buccaneer," I'm like, all right, great. Here comes all the system guys coming out. Yeah. This is going to be a topic again. So, And if there was a perfect time to do this golf game, it was now when there's no sports on. Because I'm sure this time, if all this wasn't going on and that golf game was going on, there would be NBA playoffs, there would be MLB regular season games going on. So the ratings would obviously be down, no matter who you have. You can have Jesus and Santa Claus playing in this golf game, and people would still watch the NBA playoffs if none of this was going on. So if there was the right time to do a charity golf game with Tom Brady, Tiger Woods, blah blah blah, it would be now.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely breath of fresh air, like you said, Jordan, to have any semblance of live sports back. And if we're sticking on the topic of Patriots quarterbacks here, who was it? Was it Ninkovich that said recently that he thinks that Brian Hoyer is going to start the season, which, for me anyway, as a Pats fan, I don't like at all. I get it, but I don't like it at all because I want to see Stidham go out there. I want to see the young guy go out there and prove what he's got rather than this 32-year-old veteran quarterback who's been cut by the team 3 times. Clearly, isn't an answer. So, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. Like, I don't want it to happen, but I can clearly see that the reasoning behind it. And I think if we think about how Belichick thinks, it's not necessarily like, I don't want to say it's not for the fans because he obviously cares about, but he's focused on like winning. It's not well, like if Stidham would be good to get some reps in and stuff like that. Like it's literally, I want to win. So who gives you the best chance to, go out like the best, who's been around the guys the longest, especially with like guys like Julian Edelman, like you're looking for a connection there because he's, your main guy on the offensive side. And, if Hoyer provides a better connection with him because he's been around longer, just go with him. Because if Stidham, starts to struggle within the first couple weeks, it could be detrimental to your entire season. While Hoyer might give you a little bit of a jump start, and might give you, more because of, his experience and specifically his experience within this year. Because, like OTAs would be happening, if not now, soon. Training camp's going to be delayed if it happens at all. So, Stidham's not going to have the amount of reps that a normal, new quarterback would have. And you kind of take, from what Hoyer's been, behind Tom Brady and such for a while, and he's had reps with most of the guys on offense. It just, it kind of makes sense, honestly.
I think that
Yeah.
pretty much covers it, to be honest
I was
with you.
gonna say, yeah. I think you hit all the nails there, hit all the points. Yeah, I definitely don't really want to see him long term. But go ahead, Anthony.
That's what I was thinking. Hoyer plays maybe the first 4 games, get the Seattle game out of the way, get the Kansas City game out of the way, and then have him go in against teams like San Francisco, Denver. I've been very high on that game going into it. Have him play against Buffalo, the big-time division games. Have him play against Buffalo on the road, definitely, because I know New Era Stadium, right? Something like that.
Yeah, field.
New
Yeah.
Era Field. That's a very hostile environment to play in. And if there's any way to test,
Especially for us.
throw him in there.
Yeah.
I like that because honestly, I think if we put in Hoyer for the first 4 games, we're going 2-2 on that first 4 stretch, no matter what. In my opinion, I think we're going to beat the Raiders and we're going to beat Miami, no matter who's playing quarterback at that point. And I think that's smart, to be completely honest with you. But it's just a matter of getting Stidham comfortable in the system. And Hoyer's been in the system for a whole lot longer than Jared has. So
yeah,
we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah.
For sure. Moving on from there, but staying with football. On topic of quarterbacks, last week we did our top 10 NBA players ever. So this week we want to hear your top 10 quarterbacks in the league right now. If anybody wants to start off.
Oh, right now? Not all time?
Oh, we're doing all time.
I thought we were doing right now. Fuck. All right, I'm not ready.
Oh boy! All right, hold on.
Oh,
I'll get it all time.
Cue the Jeopardy music. All right, are we doing all time or
Do all
right
time?
now?
Just let me go last.
Okay.
let's do both.
Anthony, so you have all time ready to go,
I got
right?
all time ready to go.
Okay, so he and I can go ahead and start.
Yeah.
You want to go back and forth? We'll go 10, 10, 9, 9.
All right, cool. That works.
Just to compare. All right, number 10, I got Roger Staubach.
All right, minus Terry Bradshaw.
Okay. Number 9, I got Aaron Rodgers.
I got Gianni Unitas at 9.
Number 8, Terry Bradshaw.
Dan Marino.
7, John Elway.
John Elway at 7.
I got Dan Marino at 6.
I got Rodgers.
Brett Favre at 5.
Favre.
And then Breeze.
I have Manning at 4.
Oh, I got Manning at 3.
And I got Montana at 3.
Montana at 2.
Breeze at 2. And then Brady number 1.
Brady 1. Okay, I didn't expect Breeze to be all the way up there at 2.
See, the thing is, okay, so obviously if you don't win Super Bowls, then your stats don't mean as much. But, Breeze is still the all-time leader for touchdowns and passing yards, and he's still playing. He's still going to add on that. And so, I mean, I don't think you can discount that, to be honest with you, even though he's only got the 1 ring.
Question I raised with that has to be, before Breeze and before Manning kind of beat those records, Favre was very much in the same scenario, where he had 1 ring, he was the all-time leader in passing yards and I think passing touchdowns. So was he? Obviously, Favre wasn't as good as Breeze in terms of the completion percentage and efficiency, all this stuff. But was Favre up there in the 3 to 4 category before Manning and Brady and Breeze kind of took him down there? Or
oh yeah, I
think
think
different story for Breeze and Favre.
I think for me, before Breeze started, in the last couple of years, getting those numbers up, with Mike Thomas and all of them, putting up crazy numbers. I think that Favre was in. I think it was Brady 1, Montana 2, and then Manning and Favre were really close at 3 and 4, and then Breeze was kind of behind them. But I think the rings should be a little bit more than a tiebreaker, but the numbers are still important. And obviously in Brady's case, he's far and above everybody else, so it's a little bit different. But
good balance of them.
Yeah.
George, you have yours?
Yeah, hold on. Let me just confirm.
So after you guys do your greatest of all time, I know you guys have right now. So if you guys want to do that, I'm writing out the top 10 right now.
Yeah. All right. I'll let me give my top 10 of all time. Just want to make sure I don't want to miss someone and get fucking roasted by
Caden.
Yeah.
Big guy.
Same boat.
I know I'm gonna miss some. I know I'm gonna miss someone. All right. I think. Fuck, dude. I keep looking. I'm like, this guy should be in the top 10.
I know. I'm looking at like a list to see to like reference mine.
Yeah. Fuck. Let's see. This is tough. Like,
It's hard. It's
honestly,
hard.
like it's harder than the top 10 NBA players. I think definitely because there's so many
Oh,
guys.
yeah.
Like, you're like, all right, like this guy deserves a top 10, but this guy also does, and like there's too
And
many.
Otto Graham, I think, oftentimes gets left out. That's
Yeah.
me personally, just because
he
he
was-
played in an era before everybody else.
See, yeah. I'm gonna. All right.
Oh, I might have a hot take in mine. I don't even know if I
I
believe
think
it.
I got a hot take too, and my current one.
Oh, boy.
All right. I think I have my top.
Yeah,
10.
I'm good. Whatever you are.
All right. You
If
can.
you want to go back and forth.
Yeah. Do
Go
you
back
want to
and forth.
go back and forth?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
10, I have Terry Bradshaw.
I have Steve Young.
Ooh,
9, I got Johnny Unitas.
I have Unitas as well.
8, I got Marino.
I have Marino as well.
7, what do you have?
I have Unitas.
I have Elway.
Okay.
7, yeah. 6, who do you have?
Then I have Elway.
I have Rogers.
Okay.
5, I have Favre.
Yeah, I have Favre. I think this is gonna be probably the same, similar at least.
We all had Favre at
I
5.
have,
Yeah.
yeah. 4, I have Breeze.
Yeah, I got Breeze.
3,
then-
I have
I got Manning.
Montana.
And
Yeah,
then who do you have?
yeah, I got Joe Montana. And 2, I have Peyton.
Oh, you have Manning over Montana.
I would never
That's
put
my little hot
Manning
take.
over Montana, as long
Oh,
as
that's
I
tough.
read
as
it.
long as I live.
I don't even
That's-
know if I believe that, but for hot take's sake, I'll put it up there.
Yeah, I
We
mean,
can argue for it.
yeah, like what you said, Graham. I feel like the top 5 is pretty. Like you have to have
Pretty set in
Brady as
stone.
one, like clear number 1, and then I think, I mean,
To me,
I
I
guess
I think
it's,
the top
yeah,
6.
with Manning or but generally it's you got to have Breeze, Manning,
Mhm.
and then Montana as your next 3. Most likely you're having Manning or Montana next, and then the one following at 3. I don't think Breeze really cracks 3 unless he wins a. He's got to win a couple
I think
Super
the top
Bowls.
3 is very solid.
Yeah. Like
And obviously, we both had Brady 1.
and Super Bowls are so important when it comes to ranking. Like Breeze as a quarterback. I mean, he's one of the greatest, and he doesn't even have a Super Bowl.
He's got
So-
one.
He did
True.
1, yeah.
True. Oh, you're right. He did win.
And
one.
he did beat Manning. He beat Manning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did, yeah.
I totally
Yeah.
forgot he won one. So I guess that negates what I was saying, but in general, I guess I kind
Oh
of
yeah,
say
if Breeze didn't have a ring, then there's no way I have him
Yeah,
at number
yeah.
2.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, that's like if Rogers had like multiple rings, he'd be probably above Breeze, I feel like.
Oh
How
yeah,
many does Manning have?
Manning's got 2. He
Perfect.
beat the Bears and he beat the
His
Panthers.
defense beat the Panthers. Let's just get
Yeah,
that.
Manning
that's
has
true.
1, and his defense has 1.
Yeah.
Remember
Yeah.
that shit that year.
New to one, Peyton Manning. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
And the
definitely.
Bears team that he beat, like, like
Who was my quarterback? Was it Mike Glennon? I feel like it was Mike Glennon.
no, I want to say Rex Grossman, but I don't think that's
It was
right.
Rex Grossman. I think it was.
But,
Yeah.
wait, which team we're talking about?
Was that
2006
the 08 Bears?
I think 2000.
Oh,
Wait.
Oh, I think it was 06. I think you're right.
Or it wasn't 07. Yeah, it might have been 06 because I'm thinking the 05.
I'm
Steelers
gonna look it up.
matchup.
yeah, that's one of the years they beat us. Like, if we got to that Super Bowl, like, are you kidding me? Like, anybody would have beaten the Bears. I don't even know how the Bears got out of the NFC that year.
Devin Hester. That's how.
Yeah. Opening kickoff, yeah.
Okay.
I know Jordan and Pat have their top 10 quarterbacks right now ready, but does Graham have them ready?
I've got my top 7. I need a second.
All right.
And the Super Bowl that Peyton beat the Bears was for the 2006 season.
Yeah.
Just
Mm.
for argument's sake. All right.
Yeah. All right.
Crap. Y'all go ahead.
All right. Pat, you just want to go back and forth again, I guess?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So 10, I have Dak at 10.
I got
I
Kirk.
got a lot of hot takes in mind. I'm just gonna.
Who do you have at 10, Pat?
I got Kirk Cousins.
Okay. At 9, I have Carson Wentz.
I got Matthew Stafford.
Okay. I've got Matt Ryan at 7 or 8. 8, sorry.
I should put him there. I have Tom Brady at 8.
Ooh, okay. I've then got Tom Brady at 7.
I've got Deshaun Watson at 7.
Okay.
Oh,
I've got Aaron Rodgers at 6.
I've got Carson Wentz at 6.
Okay. I like that you're giving Wentz respect. I feel like he gets disrespected.
Yeah.
I've got Watson at 5. Or is that 6?
I've got
5?
Rodgers.
5, yeah. Okay, so you have Rodgers at 5, and then I've got Breeze at 4.
Yep, me too.
I've got Lamar at 3,
Yep.
and then I have Wilson, and then Mahomes.
Yep, me too. I think that's
Or
easy
Yeah,
top 4
top-
probably.
top 4 is similar. Yeah, I feel like top 4 is pretty
Yeah.
easy, just because I don't know, it's pretty clear cut in my opinion. But yeah, 5 through 10 is difficult because there's a lot of guys like right on the outside that
5 through 15 is difficult. Like,
yeah.
there's a lot of guys that I felt really bad leaving off my list.
mhm.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you mentioned
Right.
Carson Wentz. I completely forgot about him.
Yeah.
He's gone.
The debate about him versus Dak is so like spirited, especially within like between
Oh,
Eagles
yeah.
and Cowboy fans. They both like think the other guy's trash, which they're both pretty good quarterbacks.
Mhm.
It's just a matter
Right.
of like Wentz staying healthy and Prescott like using his weapons to his advantage.
hmm This year will
Okay.
probably be big in telling
Yeah.
that.
You got
But
yours,
kinda like Graham and
Anthony?
Anthony.
All right, number 10, I got Kyler Murray.
Okay, first of all, I
Oh.
want to include Matthew Stafford as an honorable mention because I feel awful leaving him off this
Yes,
list.
Man.
him and Wentz. I
He,
didn't put
he gets no respect. He gets no
Okay.
respect.
Number 10, I have Carson Wentz.
number 9, Matt Ryan.
I have Kyler Murray at number 9.
Wow.
Number 8,
Wow.
I got Dak Prescott.
I got Brady at 8.
Number 7, you guys ready for this hot take right now?
Oh
Lamar
god.
Jackson.
Oh, that is hot.
Oh my god.
Number 7, I've got Dak.
Can't put a running back high in the top 5.
Oh my god. See,
Number
Oh my
6,
God.
I got Tom Brady.
I got Aaron Rodgers at number 6.
5, I got Rodgers.
I got Breeze at 5, and then Deshaun Watson at 4.
Number 4, I have Breeze. 3, I got Watson.
I got Jackson at 3. You got Deshaun Watson number 3?
I got
Hold on. Who did
number 3. I still
who'd you
think
have at 4 and 5 again?
4 and 5, Breeze Rodgers. Or Breeze is 4, Rodgers is 5.
And then Watson. Oh, okay. Okay.
you,
okay.
Oh my god.
Look at Hayden Colavito out here with the hot takes.
Hey,
And then I got Wilson 2, Mahomes 1.
that's I had Watson at 2. I'm like, all right, they're gonna really think I'm high.
Oh
So,
my god. You have Watson.
I
I would've
switched
left.
Wilson and Watson, so I got Wilson at 2, Mahomes 1.
See, I
Oh,
think
wow.
it's wild that you have Watson 5 spots above or 4 spots above Lamar Jackson. That's crazy to me.
Because
I could see you putting him over like Breeze or Rodgers. Like in terms of like talent, maybe at now in their career he might be better than them. But I don't know, dude. Lamar Jackson, he's crazy.
But
That
I
is
feel like
statement.
Watson is the perfect blend between a passing quarterback and a mobile quarterback. I feel like
That's a fair point.
Lamar Jackson just runs. How often do you see him throw? And when he does, it's almost like backyard football where you're just running around the pocket waiting for someone to eventually get open. They're just running back and forth. Your receivers don't have to throw it up. That's
Well,
all.
you can
Lamar
say the same thing for Mahomes too if you want to play that game.
Mm,
That's
Jackson-
true.
Mahomes has excuse my French, he has a fucking rocket for an arm.
yeah.
And he's got a ring.
But he's also got
He does have a ring.
And an
He's also got-
MVP.
And the
Yeah,
Super Bowl MVP.
he's also got the fastest receiver in the league though. So
That's
I mean,
true.
He can
Yeah.
you can just yeet that thing downfield, and Tyreek Hill's somewhere over there. So, but I mean, there's no debating his level of skill, and he's still a great passer. I don't know. I think the gripe against Lamar not being a great passer is valid, but also no one could stop him last year, and I think
He did
the running
throw
game
the most touchdowns last year too.
Yeah, and if you're going to use Watson's ability to kind of play all sides of the game in terms of running and passing ability, you have to credit Lamar's for being the best mobile quarterback in the entire league. And, he doesn't just run around aimlessly. Like, he's able to, literally juke out entire teams in one, run, and no one could really stop it. So, I mean, if mobility is part of being a great quarterback, or at least a section of it, I think, Lamar does it better than anyone in the league. So I think you have to give him a lot of credit for it. Obviously, his playoff performance last year was abysmal. So,
And the year before that.
yeah. Oh God, that was awful. That game was hard to watch.
Yeah.
I also want to mention that, not that Lamar Jackson came out of nowhere this year, but I don't think anyone really expected him to light up the
He had
charts.
one season. That's the only gripe with Lamar that I think is valid. Like, if anybody says that they won't put him higher until they see him do it again, I can be okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
But
the thing is,
Teams are going to have
I don't think
all
people were saying
season
that with Mahomes. Yeah. I mean, after Mahomes won MVP, I don't think anybody was doubting that he was the next big thing, or he was already here. But I think it's because Lamar's game is so. It's not. I guess it is controversial, but
Xbox.
because you haven't seen anything like it, so people are unsure. Plus, with running that much, you don't know how long they can last and all that.
I mean, for me, for him, his game is so it's like Mike Vick-esque that people are saying, well, I don't think he's going to be able to repeat it. Well, for him to be able to teams are going to have to contain him within the pocket. If they let him get loose, there's nothing. Why wouldn't he be able to do what he's doing? He dominated every single team last year with his jukes and such. So it's not like he it was some precision pocket passer who was just on that season. He was just finding his targets. It's he's able to pass the ball, and he's also able to run out and become a running back, like Anthony said. So it's I don't know. It's there's gonna have to be a major change by every single NFL team who plays the Ravens for him to slow down, in my opinion.
And they're going to have that time. They're going to have all offseason to game plan against him. I'm sure teams are taking a whole week, especially the Steelers, Browns, and Bengals. They're going to take a whole week or two to game plan against Lamar Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
And poor AFC North. God.
Yeah. I know, right?
I gotta play that 2 times a year. Tough scene.
Yeah.
But I'm glad to see we all got Russell Wilson at 2. I think Russ doesn't get enough respect.
Yeah.
Over the past couple of years. Dude is unreal.
Yeah. I think he's someone that, this might be a hot take, I don't know. But if he won another ring,
up there, he's going up.
Maybe he starts sneaking into the top 10. I don't know. He's he's one of the greater quarterbacks of the decade. Maybe, probably other than Brady, and maybe if you want to include Manning towards the beginning of the decade. But of the modern era, he's got to be up there. So, another ring.
20 all time, probably.
Yeah.
Here's another one. Not quite as hot as that, but 2020 NFL season, Russell Wilson, MVP.
I
could see
it. I
can see that.
He's one of those guys where he could win MVP any year. It's he's just there. It's not. Yeah. And I just feel like he has the ability to do it every single year. It's crazy.
Here's the thing with Russell
Wilson. He led them. Go ahead.
He's consistent. He puts up fantastic numbers every year, but there's just that one guy every single year that
better.
Mahomes, the Lamar Jackson, that completely up and kind of outshines him. But overall, I think Russell Wilson should be an MVP. If there was an MVP for the last 5 years, Russell Wilson would definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, here's the thing too. People forget before I think it was week 9 after the first half of the season, Russell Wilson was consensus MVP over Lamar Jackson, and then the second half of the season happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's big facts. And then a few years ago, like he led his team in I think every passing and rushing category.
Yeah.
Like that was the year I think they missed the playoffs, but like he was getting MVP talks that season too, just because like he had no help and he was literally just carrying them to wins, which he has done since the Legion of Boom dissolved. But like you said, there's if I had to pick an MVP over the past 5 seasons, he's him. He's it. Like in terms of
it's got to be him or Brady.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Their team success. Mm-hmm.
We got all this quarterback talk going. So for next week, I'm hoping maybe we could put together a top 10 list of the top 10 quarterbacks of the 21st century. I think that would be.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because that's a good segue. We can do that, just not next week. Because next week, we're going to have John Forslund on with us.
True.
That's true. Oh, he's going to be on this podcast? I thought he was going to be on.
Yeah, it's going to be with us.
Oh, word.
That's dope.
Yeah. So that'll be fun.
That's a great grab, by the way. That's like insane.
Appreciate it.
I
Yeah.
gotta do some research so I don't sound like a complete
I
jackass.
know. Yeah.
Hockey. Yeah.
Yeah, let's do
All
that.
right, so-
But yeah, that's definitely something that we can work on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for next week, definitely, check out for that. That's going to be huge for us. Grant for getting that. Unless we have any last statements, that concludes episode 10. Jordan, I cut you off a little bit. You have something you want to close with?
No, I was gonna say we should keep doing this top 10. Get a list every single week.
Oh yeah,
Works for me, man.
Good content.
It's provides good debate. It opens up conversation. So we should definitely keep doing that. Get diverse with the lists and such. So.
All right.
All right.
Catch y'all next week, same time, same place.
Peace.
Yes, sir.